Welcome, and thank you for joining us here at the Building Officials Association of Florida for a recap of key bills of interest that were passed and signed into law by the 2025 Florida Legislature, which have impacted parts of the building department that we deem to be of extreme interest. This presentation has been updated as of June 27th of 2025. The BOAF Legislative Committee consists of 60+ members, including 3 leadership individuals, 2 vice chairs, Mr. Sergio Escunce of Miami-Dade, Ms. Stephanie Rossi of Citrus County, and yours truly, Ron Leseca, as the chair. These are some of the aspects that are covered by the Legislative Committee, key ones being taking input from our members and also non-members with regards to key issues that affect local jurisdictions that may need updating of specific state statutes, and also working with educational aspects, both for members, our lobbyists, as well as members of the legislature, both in the House and Senate. To this end, we also participate in visiting individually each legislator, both during committee week and during session, and making presentations when invited to specific legislative committees. First bill of interest was House Bill 715 relating to roofing services. And this allows roofer to conduct evaluations of and enhancements of roof to wall connections for structures with roof decking. Typically, this has been an issue in years past with regards to re-roofing. Were to update the code, you have to not only evaluate, but also have enhancements to the connections, therefore complying with the latest editions of the code. And these enhancements obviously help with regards to the assessed exposure for property insurance. So this helps with regards to that. It eliminates an additional trade that may have to be brought in to conduct this evaluation and enhancement, lowering the cost for the individuals who own the homes. Next bill is 393, the House bill on the My Safe Florida Condominium Pilot Program, which has begun in Miami-Dade County. This is a program that was instituted by the 2024 Florida Legislature and funded under a grant at that time. What this particular bill does is provides clarification to and with regards to some of the requirements, and it also clarifies some of the mitigation minimum requirements for condominium associations and cooperative associations in order to be able to access grant funds. For the 2025 year, no additional funding was provided, as the funding from the previous year carries over, and there's still a very substantial amount left that can be tapped by those that comply with the requirements. Next is House Bill 551 relating to fire prevention. This revises the definition and repair and alteration of fire alarm systems. These are small scale. It has requirements with regards to issuance of permits, inspections. It does have a penalty for a delay, but the main part on the small scale is that by October 1st of 2025, the local agencies must establish a simplified permitting process that complies with the section. Next bill is Senate Bill 582 on unlawful demolition of historical buildings and structures. This does not deal with any lack of permitting or excessive work beyond the scope of an issued permit. This is a separate matter that will be dealt with locally. This deals with the financial impact of such a unlawful demolition. So to deal with this, it creates a mechanism, which is that the local property appraiser evaluates the particular building or structure for a fair or just market valuation. Therefore, the information is presented to a local magistrate to review. He then determines if such a case, a lawful demolition did occur, and if so, he can impose a fine of up to 20% of the fair or just market valuation on the property. This is separate from anything with regarding to the permitting issue. Next is House Bill 683 relating to construction regulations, which has several parts. One of the key issues is regards to plan review for single trade, plan review in general using an automated or software-based system for the review. And of course, on single trade plans reviews, a private provider can use an automated software system for the review to compliance, but not limited to the National Electrical Code and the Florida Building Code. There is no prohibition for local building departments doing that also. However, there are some concerns, the main concerns being software compliance with specific requirements of the 2023 Florida Building Code or subsequent adopted codes, as well as the specific adopted edition of the National Electrical Code or other codes, as well as complying with local ordinances that have been adopted in compliance with statute, as well as the process by the Florida Building Commission. Who does certify compliance with the software? This is an issue which will be brought up to the Florida Building Commission, and most likely will also come back to the Florida Legislature for their educational process to set up some clearer requirements. Next is House Bill 4011, an act relating to Palm Beach County. This is a local bill. Palm Beach County still has state oversight with regards to some of their functions. So therefore, for this particular issue on the enforcement of the Florida Building Code, there had to be a state bill passed and entered into statute, which was done. And this became effective on June 11th of this year. Next is House Bill 913 relating to condominium and cooperative associations. This has some updates, several parts. The major ones require the property management firms and the condo associations or cooperative associations boards to make sure that they update as a minimum on an annual basis or as changes are made, all contact information for the key personnel. This includes the name of the board members, address information, email, phone, etc. Same thing if you have a property management firm, and the contact information, as well as the definition of the buildings or structures that are covered with regards to the associations. It also has a specific requirement as to professionals that are doing phase 1 and phase 2 inspections and reports. So it eliminates any conflict of interest with regards to any work that they may have delineated as being required to conform to the code. For example, if you have an engineer that does a phase 2 inspection, and he delineates 3 or 4 tasks that has to be completed as repairs to bring the particular structure up to date, he cannot have any financial interest or perform any of the work, nor can any persons related to him. So therefore, it's a clean transition where there is no conflict of interest between that. In addition, it does require the local building departments beginning on December 31st of 2025 and thereafter on each December 31st of subsequent years to give a report on the milestone inspections within each agency's jurisdiction that have been performed, the phase 1 completed, any extensions granted, the phase 2, the results of the phase 2 inspections completed, the type, number, and value of permit applications with regards to phase 2 milestone inspections that have been completed, and other requirements, including a listing of buildings deemed to be unsafe or uninhabitable as determined by the milestone inspection, and other requirements. These must all be supplied, that is the reports, to the Office of Program Policy and Governmental Accountability, OPAGA, as well as to the President of the Senate and the Speaker of the House. Now, the base bill became effective July 1st, 2025, but some sections have extended conformance dates, including the reports to be issued to OPAGA. Senate Bill 954 on certified recovery residences. The governing bodies of a county or municipality have to adopt an ordinance establishing procedures for review and approval of certified recovery residents within each of its jurisdictions, and it has to include a process for requesting reasonable accommodations. Basically, you have to outline this up front So therefore, there is no nebulous areas, and therefore it is a clear pathway to either comply or non-comply. Senate Bill 784 regarding to platting. Again, this has great impact with regards to the transparency aspect, because it does require that you have to put this all upfront on the website, either for a platting initial or a replat submission, and you have to designate an administrative official responsible for approving with conditions or denying the proposed plat. Look at it as a checklist that has to be printed out front with all the requirements, and therefore there is no additional, oops, we forgot to tell you about this sort of a situation. The streamlining may, in some instances, cause involvement beyond the accepted standards that could infringe upon local governmental overview. At least this is the opinion of some of members that have been reviewing this particular statute. So we are fairly sure there's going to be more conversation regarding this on the next session of the Florida Legislature. Senate Bill 796 regarding the general permits for distributed wastewater treatment systems. Now, distributed wastewater treatment unit can be envisioned as a intermediary step from a septic system to a sewer system. In other words, this could help to mitigate the cost in transitioning from septic to the sewer systems, and it gives some time with regards to the local governmental units to create those systems. However, the cost, etc., is something beyond the scope of this particular legislation. Senate Bill 1730 regarding to affordable housing. Again, we have had affordable housing proposals before, and we keep them coming. And again, it has certain aspects to it, which in some cases may override local mandates or prohibitions. One of the aspects is that in this particular legislation, that if there is a dispute and a civil action is filed against the county for a violation of this particular section, and it could be also municipalities incidentally, they can get an award if they prove their case of reasonable attorney's fees up to $250,000. In addition, the prevailing party can recover attorney's fees or costs directly incurred by or associated litigation to determine the award of the reasonable attorney's fees or cost. Now, there are exceptions, obviously, that have been recognized. For example, if you are not allowing a particular project to proceed because of moratoria due to lack of, let's say, stormwater or floodwater management, supply of potable water, sanitary sewer systems, etc., this is not a cause for action. But beginning on November 1st, 2026, each county municipality has to give a report to the state agencies with all the summaries, as well as the state planning agency compiling information received under the subsection and submitted to the governor, the president of the Senate, and the Speaker of the House. It does have an exception with regards to developments located within a municipality and an area of critical state concern. And this is an attempt to deal with affordable housing, but may cause overreach or local conflicts with adopted plans. So this is something, again, that may have some additional feedback to the legislature by local agencies. Next is Senate Bill 1080, an act relating to local government land regulations. This is another one of those transparencies where there are provisions within the adopted statute that you must go ahead and have a transparent, visible posting on the website of all requirements. Also, it must be supplied in a local document kind of like a checklist where you say, this is the requirements with regards to the land regulations for certification, zoning approval, rezoning approval, and it has to be specific and all inclusive. If you have a delay, which is not something that you can attest there was an error with regards to the applicant, you are subject to reduction in fees. School districts are not permitted to have alternative fees in lieu of an impact fee. An impact fee increase approved in this paragraph must be implemented in at least two, but no more than 4 equal annual increments, and you cannot increase an impact fee beyond the phase of limitations under this paragraph if the local government has not increased the impact fee within the last 5 years. More on the bill. And of course, it's both county and specific municipality. Last piece of interest is a local government that is participating in the National Flood Insurance Program may not adopt or enforce an ordinance for substantial improvement or repair of a structure, which includes a cumulative substantial improvement period. They define it, basically it eliminates lookbacks. And of course, effective upon becoming law, the OPAGA guys have to conduct a study of the actions taken by local governments after a hurricane, and it goes on about the survey. The actions of the local government, including moratoriums and procedures, and the impact they've had or may have on construction, reconstruction, or redevelopment of the properties that were damaged by such storms. This does take effect October the 1st, 2025, except that some sections may have different effective dates. Last in our review is Senate Bill 180. Now, Senate Bill 180, the portion that we are illustrating here, is actually a 40+ page bill, which acts beyond the requirements that may directly impact building departments. And we're just going to cover that right now. But I strongly encourage you, if you have not read the bill, to download it and review the bill. It is to assist political subdivisions in preparing and maintaining emergency management plans, and it outlines what these plans should as a minimum be. The division, which is FDAM, Florida Department of Emergency Management, requires a certain number of training hours as a minimum for each municipality, county, city, etc. And by April 1st of each year, an annual hurricane readiness session in each particular governmental unit shall be conducted by the division to facilitate coordination between all emergency management stakeholders. In addition, sorry about that. Post-storm county and municipal operations, they shall develop a permitting plan to expedite rebuilding. What does this mean? As you read through all of it, basically what it entails is that you have to prepare for the worst and hope for the best, i.e. that you have to assume that in case that your primary locations or secondary locations are damaged and not usable, you have to be able to go out in the field and be able to supply the same services in a timely basis during your normal operating hours. So part of the planning should be, for example, that you have picked out locations that can support such occurrences, i.e. that you can go out and set up such as a mobile platform, including all your IT support, be able to permit, be able to issue both standard permits as well as no-cost permits, be able to support this during normal operating hours, including having enough supplemental personnel for such tasks. This will entail not only having your staff available and trained for such things, but because there's going to be additional demand or some of the staff may not be able to help you because of their personal situations, you have to have your conditional arrangements such as authority, i.e. that you have to have past agreements to supply such personnel. This is very similar to post-storm contracts with regards to debris pickup. So therefore, it will entail the upper management having those particular requirements laid out and having them on a contingent contract. So it does impact the budget, so to speak, and the budget process. Each county and municipality shall update the plan no later than May the 1st annually, and you have to post this on your website. So it has to be done upfront, no later. I'm thinking about it, and also lay out the type of repairs that do require a permit and the applicable fees. Those that do not require a permit, the permit process and specific modifications the county commonly makes to expedite the process, physical locations, all these requirements are laid out. And in addition, of course, you may not increase building permit or inspection fees for a period of 180 days after the date on which a state of emergency was declared. And as soon as practicable, have employees and supplemental personnel available during the county's or municipalities' normal business hours to process permits. There's also a conversation with regards to the subject of no fee permits to assist the residents with regards to evaluating the repairs done, giving them value, be able to document them. So as they submit these for reimbursement, either for their own property insurance coverage or with regards to any FEMA grants, they have that documentation available, minimizing any distress to them. Of course, the immediate impact for local building departments as well as the EOC adopted plans is visible, i.e. the EOC has to be aware of these because they may be impacted. And also the budget allocations, because this will, in most cases, have additional financial impact. It does, as I mentioned, impact other facets of governmental unit. So I strongly encourage you to go in and take a look at all of the bill's requirements. Now, this became law when it was signed by the governor on June 26th, except some specific sections may have different effective dates with regards to some other reports, etc. On these slides, we have given you excerpts of the bills noted for informational purposes, but please consult the full enrolled bill for complete information. Now, in order to assist you, copies of the enrolled bills are on the BOAF website, www.boaf.net. For those of you that are BOAF members and wish to become part of a particular committee, such as the Legislative Committee, the submission for membership to these committees is now open at the website. Remember, each fiscal year we go through this process for now, which is 2025 through 2026. Please sign in to the website with your information. Go to the top under membership. It will say member volunteering for a specific committee. You fill out the form, select the committee, and submit it. Now, if you wish to become a member of more than one committee, you have to repeat the process for each committee. And typically within a week or two, you will be notified of your approval to become a member of that committee, and you will be put on the master emailing list. As far as the Legislative Committee, preliminary schedule will be sent out probably by late July. This will have the preliminary schedule for the meetings and other information. The committee typically meets on Tuesdays at 3:30 p.m. Typical time we hold the committee meetings to is 1 hour. Other dates of interest, because this is an upcoming election year, the 2026 Florida Legislature session will open on Tuesday, January the 13th, and the BOAF Legislative Day is scheduled for Tuesday, January 27th. More information regarding our process with regards to Legislative Day will be handled as a separate submission. If you have questions specific to the presentation or in general, there are several ways to contact us. The first two are the form on the BOAF website. The link is noted here, or you can email info@boaf.net. If you have a specific comment in general, you can, as a member, post it on the website, www.boaf.net, under the particular heading. Thank you very much for your attention, and we look forward to any comments or questions that you may have. Have a great day.